Hey everybody, welcome to week 12 of Fantasy Wall Street. I'm here with Tony from Quick Hits. How we doing tonight, my guy?
Good. How you doing, Kyle? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Looking forward to some turkey and dressing this Thursday, and I love Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man. Don't leave out the stuffing.
Oh man,
It's all
stuffing.
about the stuffing.
It's all about that green bean casserole. That's what it's about. I'm a weirdo. I love it. I love that stuff.
Yeah, you told me about that. For me, the turkey is just a vehicle for the stuffing.
That's fair. All right, man. Let's jump in here. We'll pull up the big board,
Let's do it.
and we like to be on top, so we'll hit that. And let's start off with Mr. David Montgomery.
So normally, I don't like buying players who play on weak offenses, but Montgomery right now can be acquired for cheap. He is coming off two of his more difficult matchups, and now he is set to face the Lions this week, and he has a very, very nice schedule after that. I kind of see him as a solid mid to low end RB2, and he isn't going to cost you RB2 capital. So this is a guy that you can acquire probably for a very good price, and you can get him onto your roster and plug him in as a solid RB2 moving forward.
Yeah, I like that. Like you say, he's not going to cost you that much, but dude can be productive with those workloads.
Absolutely, and again, he's a little bit low right now, coming off those two matchups that he just had.
Yeah, and coming off that injury, just like this guy, Mr. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, so Mr. Prince of Hell Air, this is a guy. He's back. I think he's a repeat. I think we had him on Wall Street last week. I've been
Yeah,
saying this. CEH, he owns this backfield. This backfield belongs to him.
yep.
Daryl Williams isn't any threat. I don't care how good Daryl Williams played while CEH was away. He is not CEH. CEH is an elite receiving running back. He had 14 touches in his first week back, and he would have more touches if the game script had been different. While Daryl Williams did touch the ball 6 times, most of his touches came late in that fourth quarter after the game was already over. I think up until that point, he had maybe, one catch in one rush. So 2 touches overall. CEH for me is a solid RB2 rest of season and is another guy who can be bought for a lot less right now.
Yeah, I like that. Let's talk about another repeat offender, though. I think he's
Yeah.
been in every column at some point this season. Mr. JaMarr Chase, what are we doing with him this time?
Yeah, I think JaMarr Chase saved his day last week with the score. Otherwise, he would have had back-to-back games under 10 points because of what he did earlier in the season. Owners out there might be looking to acquire him and pay a fairly significant price to get him. His schedule does not get much easier. And Burrow, as much as I like Burrow, he looks like he's regressed. He's just not playing the same as he was early in the year. I try to move him for someone that can really help you. We haven't talked about him for a few weeks now. So, I
But he
thought
has
maybe
been
this
on
might.
here, and he has ended up in every column at some point, I think.
What's that?
I said he has been on here before, though, and I think he has been on every column at some point, depending on, how cheap you can get him or not. So,
Yeah, I haven't talked about him much since the beginning of the season where I was kind of preaching to sell high. This is an opportunity where you're not necessarily going to sell him as high as you could earlier in the season, but he still does have value. And if you can get the right price for him, I would move on from Chase.
let's stay on the repeat offender train. Hit me with that D Hop.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the last week I put D Hop on here. It's just one final reminder to buy him low. And we had a question on Hopkins on one of our other streams talking about trading Devonta Adams and another player, or Devonta Adams for, I think, D Hop and a running back. And like, that's not the type of trade I'm talking about. You're not going to trade an elite receiver or an elite running back for D-Hop. I don't like trading elite players who are playing well for other players that are injured. What I am saying is to try and package up a couple of players that you can put together to grab a guy who could absolutely kill it for you down the stretch. Steve Keim, the GM for Arizona, has been talking very positively about D-Hop's progress, that he looks tremendous, he's looking healthy, and all signs point to him being back for week 13. So that is the perfect time to get this guy back into your lineup, or if you make a move for him, get him into your lineup and make a push for the playoffs and play, and then have him for that playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's coming back after that bye. So
and that's where everything is trending. I do have stock in D-Hop, and you can't pry him out of my hands because I'll never get what his value is, and I want him for that stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about a guy that's not very exciting. Mr. Devonta Freeman. We get a lot of questions about this guy in our chats every
See him
week.
all over the place. Yeah, and it seems to be, Kyle, it seems like everyone is jumping on Devonta Freeman. Everyone is trying to grab this guy, and I, again, personally, I just don't see it with the history of the Baltimore running back position. He did have a nice game last week, but just we got to remember that last week was without the team's leading rusher. Lamar Jackson didn't play in that game. So
Yep.
for me, this is really a sell high spot. I want to move off this guy before he loses his value. I just don't see any running back in that Baltimore offense having consistent value where you can trust them on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I completely agree. That guy makes me nervous as heck. But like you say, everybody's on him. Everybody is wanting to grab him, and I don't get it. We had a question tonight in one of our other shows where they're asking if they should grab Freeman or Elijah Moore. I'm like, bro, grab Elijah Moore.
Yeah. No, Elijah Moore is not in our Wall Street show this evening, but Elijah Moore is the type of guy I did talk to him about him in the waiver wire report, and with the way he's producing, with the volume share he's getting, with the targets, he could be a league winner for you down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. An Elijah that we do have on our board though is Elijah Mitchell.
It's so funny. It's just funny.
I'm the
how
segue master. All right.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I'm not talking about the segue though. What I find funny is how quickly people forget about players in
That's
just
true.
a week or two, and how an injury can devalue a player in just a short period of time. 1 to 2 weeks, and the guy's value is like cut in half.
Yeah, it's in the trash can right now. It's like, why? Why?
It just doesn't make sense, especially if the person who owns him, needs to win now. If the guy who has him needs to win now, he's probably a lot more desperate to move off of an Elijah Mitchell. It doesn't look like Wilson or Sermon are a threat to him when he's healthy. This guy is legit. He is a bona fide stud.
He looks very impressive when you watch him play.
Yeah, he does look impressive, and he's going to be back. He's just got a lot more juice in those legs than these other running backs. And look, you're happy if you have Wilson. He's a nice flex starter for you. He's going to get that volume, but he's not Elijah Mitchell. So he also has a very, very nice schedule down the stretch. So this could be an opportunity for you before that window closes to acquire Elijah Mitchell. And it's probably not going to cost you a whole lot.
I like it. I love me some Elijah Mitchell. He's been doing fantastic. In fact, I just bought him in a couple of leagues, so
yeah,
I'm all over
that's
it.
a good buy.
Hit me with that Myles Gaskin.
Yeah, I had stock in Myles Gaskin in a dynasty league. I was very hopeful and optimistic on him going into the season. He just has not been very efficient in what could have been and should have been a blow-up game for Gaskin against the Jet defense. He posted very modest numbers, not what you were hoping for.
Yeah.
That said, his matchup versus the Jets does provide an opportunity to sell a little high on him. I'm also concerned, though, that the Dolphins added Duke Johnson to this backfield. Kind of
Yeah.
tells me that they don't fully trust Gaskin. That and Malcolm Brown coming back off of IR, his value is going to plummet. This is, I think, a very short window period of time where you can sell Gaskin and try and get something in return.
Yeah, I think Duke Johnson is going to come in and take probably all of that receiving work Gaskin's been getting
Yeah,
because he's a superior receiver to Gaskin, and then of course Malcolm Brown's going to take some of those rushing attempts from him too. So it's not a great
sure.
spot to be in for sure. Let's talk about Jarvis Landry next.
Yeah, I had a little bit of stock in Jarvis Landry. I moved off him a few weeks ago. The fact that he scored in Week 11, to me, is a borderline miracle. His mediocre numbers in Week 11, he had 4 catches for 26 yards, and that duplicated his exact stat line from Week 10. And that's just who this guy is. That's who he is in this offense. 4 catches for 26 yards. He still has some value, especially with that touchdown on Sunday. I would try to package him up and trade him while he has at least some value. To me, if you can't move him, if you can't trade him, this is a guy that I would cut and try and grab somebody else who has some real upside.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. Like I say, that was an absolute miracle.
It was.
I've saved some of my favorites for last here. Let's talk about Antonio Gibson, where we got him this week.
And Antonio Gibson to me is a big time buy. You know, we were concerned about him early in the season with that shin injury. He seems to be bouncing back. He's averaged
Getting
almost
some touches, man.
22 carries average over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
His fantasy score was low because he didn't score and he lost a fumble. But you don't be fooled by that. He is starting to get that elite volume. The scores and the fantasy production will follow. This is your last chance, I think, to buy him before he faces one of the worst defenses versus opposing running backs, and that's Seattle this weekend. So this is I think a unique buying opportunity for Gibson where you can get him real cheap before he starts to really produce.
Yeah. I love me some Gibson.
I know you do.
I also like this guy a whole lot, Mr. Diggs.
Yeah, and it kind of pains me to put him over here in the sell column, but
Can't
hear me
wait
out
to hear
on
what you got
Diggs.
to say about this.
Yeah, hear me out on Diggs. We had kind of a similar conversation with Chase when Chase was at his peak value.
Yeah.
The Bills' offense has been struggling, and they have a brutal remaining schedule. They have the Saints this week, very tough against the pass. Then after the Saints, they play New England, they play Tampa Bay, they play Carolina, and they play New England again. It's just a brutal stretch of
Yikes.
games. You know, you have
Yikes.
New England twice in the 4 games, in that 5-game stretch. And that takes the Bills right up, right through week 16 and through the front end of that fantasy playoff schedule. So if you're gonna move Diggs, you've got to get elite value back. You're not giving this guy away.
Absolutely.
But if it were me, I would try to trade him, move him for an elite player that can really blow up down the stretch, really has an elevated ceiling, who can help you. And look, at the end of the day, if you can't move him, you can't get what you're really looking for. You could do a lot worse than having Diggs in your lineup.
Yeah.
I just think you have to really temper your expectations based on how this offense has been playing and on that schedule.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. I just, man,
Hurts me to say that.
it hurts. It hurts to put him in that column.
Yeah, it hurts me to say that. And look, he's Stefon Diggs, so he's still an elite talent, but you're looking for opportunities. He was coming off a couple nice games, so it could be a nice sell high spot for him.
Yeah. All right, I saved the best for last.
Yeah, let's talk some Kyle Pitts here.
Boom.
I never really heard of the guy until this week. I'm not gonna, I don't want you to think like I'm in this guy's fan club and that I root for him every Sunday. Like I've got his
Don't know
gear
why
and
anyone
I
would think
sport
that.
his gear. I don't know why you would ever think that. This is a chance to buy this guy low, coming off of a down game versus that New England defense. And Belichick schemed against Pitts to take him out. They bracketed him. They doubled him up. I still like him rest of season. It's just difficult to find tight ends with the type of involvement that this guy has in the offense. He plays all over the field. They've got him lining up in, outside receiver spot. They've got him lining up in the slot. They have him coming off different places in the line. His routes run, his target share. I just think this is a guy who provides a unique opportunity to produce fantasy, and with that type of involvement, he has a very, very high ceiling, and he provides that type of a ceiling on a weekly basis. There are just a handful of guys that are like this. You can look at Kelsey, and you can look at Waller. We see Kittle starting to come back, but that's the type of ceiling this guy has. He hasn't necessarily produced yet on the field, but let's remember he's a rookie. And it takes a little bit of time for these rookies to get their sea legs, so to speak. The involvement is there, the target share is there. All of the things you're looking for are there for him to be a fantasy producer down the stretch.
Absolutely, love some Kyle Pitts. It's a nice name too, right, Kyle?
It is a nice name, and like I said, this is this is a chance to buy some Pitts McGee. And get him while he's cheap.
Hit him with the Pitts McGee. I love it. All right, let's blow up the big board here. Let everybody kind of see if I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, there's your buys and sells. No holds this week. Trade deadline for most people. So these are the highlights to try to hit. And as always, Tony, it's been a pleasure.
Me too, Kyle. Appreciate you. You and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to our viewers and all of you who are out there and support us. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. Can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch our videos and our streams and support the network.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Tony, you have a great Thanksgiving with your family as well. And everybody, we will see you back here live. No, maybe. I don't know if we're doing another one next week or not, since the deadline will be passed.
I think the trade deadline's going to pass us.
Yeah, so we might not see you on here anymore, but definitely we'll see you on Snoozers and Losers and Sundays and all of our other shows, Panic Room. So everybody have a great week with your families for Thanksgiving. We love you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.